All right. Okay, so what's your question?
My question is like I said, I've been playing for bass for about 6 years. My brother taught me, and he's always taught me flats, like B flat and E flat.
Okay.
And you also, but you were displaying some notes, and you said F sharp when I know it as G flat.
Okay.
So I want to know the difference when you're supposed to use it, if there is a certain time, or which one's better, which one's worse.
No, okay. The rule of thumb is that when you're in a sharp, by the way, for those who aren't familiar, they're referred to as enharmonics, okay? E-N-H-A-R monics, M-O-N-I-C-S. And so enharmonics are when you can take one note and write it out two separate ways. Now, F sharp is the same as G flat. Instead of zooming up on the piano, it might just be better if I just use my chart right here. So F sharp, F going up a half step, is the same as G going down a half step. Now, what that is it's the same on bass and the guitar too, is that when you're in a sharp key signature, for example, let's throw up in the key of A. Let me erase this. And this and this. Okay, let's go to the key of A. A has three sharps, F, C, and G. Now, when I'm in the key of A, I am not, I'm not generally going to use a flat in the key of A. Let me move this up. Okay, so here's how it works.
So you would call it G sharp?
You got it, bro. You wouldn't write this note A flat, you would just write G sharp. Now, you would write G sharp for two reasons. One is because it's in the key, and two, I'm sorry, let me move it up. And one because it's in the key, and two because you don't want to have to keep writing the flats there. Okay, you want it when you're playing a gig or you're reading something. Is that playing all this music at once, the rhythms, the time signatures, the key signatures, you're trying to follow the drummer, is that it's a lot to take in, and you're trying to make it as easy as possible for the actual performer. So when you're in a sharp key, you use sharp. When you're in a flat key, you use flat. Let me give you an example of a flat key, and let's say that you're in the key of E flat. Okay, E flat has three flats: B, E, and A. So let's put it in 4/4, and let's say that you had to know B flat in this key. In the key of E flat, you have B flat. You wouldn't write A sharp. You would just read it as A flat. You would stay within the key. Now, there's times when you would break that rule, and a perfect example is if I'm going from here, let me think of an easy one. If I'm going from A natural to A sharp in the key of, let's not do that. Let's say that I'm in the key of D. Okay, D has two sharps in it. Okay, let me do this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. D has two sharps. Let's erase this one. Okay, so now we just went from the key of A to the key of D. Two sharps, F and C. So the two sharps, F and C, let's say that I want to go from C sharp to C natural, then back to C sharp, then back to C natural. Let's go back to C natural, C sharp, C natural. This is a lot to read. This is a lot of information, a lot of ink for the musician to read all this in a piece of music. Let's make it 16 notes. Okay, that's a lot to take in. So you're going. Now, instead of doing this, I can write this out just once as right here. I can do this as, for example, a B natural or a B sharp just once, and then I don't have to write it out again because it's considered to be the same. This B sharp is the same as saying C natural.
Right.
So I just write it out once. So let's do C natural right here, or C sharp up there instead of C natural here. So this looks a lot more legible.
Your video froze. Just let you know.
Oh, sorry. This looks a lot more legible when you're reading, especially when you're playing a gig.
Yeah, that sure looks a lot easier.
C sharp, B sharp, C sharp, B sharp, C sharp, B sharp. You're getting rid of all of those sharps. Gone. Done. Who wants them? Don't want them, right?
Right.
And so that's another thing. And then the third and final way, sorry if I'm getting a little long, but I mean, I can do a whole show on just this. It's like that
right.
You have, let's say that you have in the key of D, you have an E flat major chord, okay? You wouldn't, maybe you didn't want to call this D sharp major because you're in the key of D. You want to keep, you know, like let's say you go from D major chord to an E flat major. You don't want to call it a D sharp major chord for some reason, maybe, you know, because for something as simple as that the notes in this chord, D, F sharp, A, you don't want to have to sharpen it all again, you know, for that same reason. So here, that's another way that I would know to write flats in this key. So it'd be E flat, G flat, and B. So here we have those two chords. Oh, I'm sorry, I put that on the wrong one. But yeah, but those are the two ways. Let me just resum it. The first way is through the key signature. If you're in a sharp key signature, you stick with sharps. If you're in a flat key signature, you stick with flats. Another way is that you use the enharmonics in order to have it, to take away the sharps and flats so that it's more legible to read. And the third way is that if you have a chord that says E flat major, even though you're in a sharp, you're pretty much forced to write out the key E flat, G, B flat, as opposed to D sharp, F double sharp, A sharp.
Man, that answers my question perfectly, man.
Really?
I'm so glad I called in. I like I said, I've been playing bass for 6 years and never knew that answer. Just because I've always kept the flats. And now that's good because I'm actually teaching some other kids now, and it's a lot better when they have questions like that when they ask me now that I know the answer.
Yeah,
so.
dude, you know, dude, that's awesome, man. Thanks a lot, man, for calling. It's what, you know, it's what I'm here for, bro.
Groovy.
Cool. You heard it here first. Groovy.